What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Buffalo Dash. Um, my partner Kieran is currently dealing with some technical difficulties, might be a little late, but nonetheless, the show must go on as always. So, without further ado, let's jump into our first topic, which is kind of a sad one for me. Um, Colorado lost their perfect season on Saturday, dropping their game against Utah by a score of 31-28. If I would be completely honest, the better team won. I think Utah coming in, their 1-2 record, in no way did it reflect that their their strength of their team and the talent they have, because they proved it. And, they beat a ranked Colorado team at home, on national television, and they proved that they were who they were predicted to be. Um, in terms of what went wrong, we got outplayed. First of all, it didn't help that Nate Landman got injured. Him going down and him losing him in the second half definitely affected the way this defense played. He's by far the best player on this team. Um, I think that losing him uh, definitely sent a shockwave through our defense that we truly really couldn't recover from, and it was evident with their offensive production in the second half. They just ran all over us. Ty Jordan just ripped up our run defense, which has been really good in the past two games and really been one of the stronger points about this CU defense. Seeing him run all over our defense definitely proved that he plays a larger part in the way this defense runs and the way this defense really is the focal point around Nate Landman. I thought we played a decent first half of defense. Um, we we stopped the run. We forced Utah to throw the ball, and we got burned a couple of times. But in all honesty, if we had played that same brand of defense in the first half, I truly think we could have held them to lesser points in the second half. But really, when Nate Landman got injured, I really couldn't see a way that this defense was going to be able to stop the talented Utah offense. On the flip side, um, the offense looked better. I think Sam Neuer had one of his best games all year, especially in the first half. He tore up the Utah defense in the first half. I'm just going to pull up some stats right now. His passing game looked 10 times better than it did against Arizona and SDSU. He looked comfortable. He was playing his conservative brand of passing football, as me and Kieran like to say. He wasn't outperforming himself. He wasn't trying to do too many things, and he even impressed with a couple long balls to Katie Nixon and Levante Chenault. That really spark plugged this offense. I thought the touchdown throw to get the Buffs on the board to Maurice Bell looked far above his ability. He slung that in perfectly right into the defense. I think he was definitely one of the brighter points for this offense. But the guy we thought who was going to be a big part of this offense really didn't show up, and that was Jared Broussard. And on one half, I got to give my hats off to Utah. There's no doubt about it that they had the better run defense this game, and that they did everything in their power to really force Neuer to throw the ball and really force Coach Chev out of that run first offense, which they did. And Neuer looked really good in the first half, and then it seemed like that Utah defense really tightened up in the second half and really shut down this offense and really forced them to do nothing with the ball. And Utah took over. So I think Jarek Broussard, by all means, got outperformed by Ty Jordan, and that's not something I expected coming in, especially with Jarek Broussard being arguably the best running back in the Pac-12 leading into this week. But like I said, I got to give my hats off to Utah for their ability to stop basically one of our focal points of our offense and really force Neuer to take the game into his own hands. Yeah, Additionally, I was really, really impressed with Brendan Rice, the freshman out of Arizona. Um, Arguably, his best game all season outside of that Stanford game, which he caught his first collegiate touchdown pass with. But he looked sensational. The punt return for a touchdown at the end of the second quarter really was a cherry on top of really well played uh, first half football for Colorado, and his screen pass, 80-yard touchdown to begin the second half was just proved why he and as well as Levante Chenault and Maurice Bell and Jalen Jackson and Dimitri Stanley are a super underrated wide receiver core in the Pac-12, and he proved how going forward he can be a reliable option for a QB who doesn't feel as comfortable around this offense and hasn't had enough time as a collegiate quarterback like Neuer does. That the fact that Neuer has Brendan Rice, who only a freshman, has proven himself to be a consistent pass catcher and a consistent producer on this offense is really it gives me a lot of confidence going forward that he can be a stud coming up in the next couple of years. That give him another year to really hone in his craft and really become a great wide receiver in the Pac-12. That he could be not only a huge weapon for this Colorado offense, but prove that he's one of the best in the Pac-12. And I think he showed signs of it on Saturday. That hey, in this shortened season, this was my opportunity to shine and to really go out there and show that I belong in this on this team and in this offense and in this conference. And he did it. He showed that he can be versatile in uh, returning punts and being a reliable wide receiver for a QB who is only starting his fifth collegiate football game, and really be someone going forward that Colorado can depend on. But other than that, I just couldn't see any positives coming out of this game, besides the fact that Brendan Rice showed that he can be consistent going forward, and Neuer proved that when they need it, um, he can take matters into his own hands and really produce with his arm. And additionally, it was puzzling that on the first three drives of the game, offensive drives of the games for CU, Broussard got no touches, and it seemed like Coach Chiaverini and Coach Durrell really for some reason weren't emphasizing the run game as they had been the fast four games, which is especially confusing because in a snowy, cold day, you'd expect a game where it's run dominant, and you wouldn't expect to see a very pass heavy offense just because it's so much harder to throw the ball when the ball is cold in these conditions. Um, but to not give a guy who had 733 rush yards through four games of the season, not a single touch in the first three possessions of the offense, it's a little puzzling to me. It is, as well as Neuer played in this game, passing the ball, of which he looked really good in the first half and really good at the beginning of the third quarter. It's really puzzling that they waited to choose halfway through the third quarter, once that offense had stalled and once they lost all their momentum, to try and start to get Jared Broussard's momentum going and try to get that offense revolving around him. But it just it didn't work, and it showed that not only did the offensive play calling hurt us, but Nate Landman's injury, while it truly is no excuse on the way that the defense played, simply couldn't stop the run, and they really felt the presence that he brings to that field and his ability to stop the run, and keep the big burst plays that we saw with Ty Jordan from happening. We just didn't see that once Landman went down, and honestly, when I saw Landman go down, it truly was the end of a thought of that we had any possibility in this game. But like I said, the 1-2 record that Utah had coming into this game by no means reflects the talent and the promise that this team had, and they showed it. Like I said, they marched into Folsom. It was snowy. It was cold. It was truly like a home field advantage, and they kicked their butts. 38-21, losing by 17 at home is not something you want to see against a rival. But like I said at the beginning of the season, this team had no expectations, and would I have loved to see them win this game? Obviously, would I have loved to see them, become 5-0 and really push the envelope about the question, do they deserve to be in the Pac-12 championship, which I'll get to right after this. I would have loved to see that, but the fact that this team was 4-1 after being picked to finish second to last in the Pac-12 is a real achievement. It's a real testament to this coaching staff and to the way Coach Dorrell has come in and really changed the culture and really gotten the guys to buy into his system and surprise a lot of people in this conference. That being said, this conference has some explaining to do. If you haven't seen the news, the Pac-12 title conference game was set to be between USC and Washington because the game between Washington and Oregon got canceled. Washington was given the bid into the Pac-12 title game, and USC's 5-0. They won the South. They're in. And then this morning, it was reported that Washington is going to be unable to play in that title game. So Oregon got promoted to that game, leaving Colorado, who was supposed to play Oregon in the Coliseum on Saturday. It leaves Colorado without an opponent to play. It sucks. The fact that Colorado has second best record in this conference, and the fact that they are relegated to into a holding pattern that they're told. So you're basically the backup to this matchup. We don't want you to schedule a non-conference game. It's just your turn to kind of sit and wait. It's a little frustrating. If it was Washington and USC, it was the 5-0 Trojans versus the 3-1 Huskies, I would have been okay. But the fact that Oregon got promoted at 3-2 because they want to keep the whole North versus South rival title game matchups going, it's a little BS to me. Oregon beat Stanford, Washington State, and UCLA, and lost to Cal and Oregon State. Now, Colorado beat UCLA and Stanford, and now obviously they didn't get to play Cal, Oregon State, and Washington State just because they're in the North, they're in the South. To say that Oregon deserves to be in that game over CU, of which they have wins over two common opponents. Oregon has one more loss than Colorado does. It's a little dumbfounding to me. It seems like in this situation, Colorado is definitely getting the short end of the stick. That you were put into the backup title game, which they did because Colorado was supposed to play Oregon on Saturday because they were technically the second place teams in their respective divisions. But the fact that Colorado kind of gets kicked to the curb and they're like, well, you don't get to play a game this weekend. You just kind of have to sit by and watch everyone else play. It's a little frustrating to me. And, obviously, Colorado at 4-1, and assuming they don't play another game, is going to get into one of the 4 Pac-12 bowls. That's not a doubt. And I'm extremely happy. And if you would have told me at the beginning of the season that Colorado is 4-1 and they're going to get into a bid to a bowl game, I would have thought you're crazy, and people would have thought you were crazy. But the fact that they have the opportunity to be invited to a bowl game, that they can really prove that that loss to Utah was hey, we lost our best player, but we had 2 weeks to rest up, get healthy, and we came out and we beat a non-conference opponent in a bowl game and won a bowl game. That would just cap off. That would just be such an amazing achievement to end a really surprising season, and really show people that the cards that were dealt to not only the Karl Dorrell, but the coaching staff and the players, that in February a new coach comes in, doesn't get to coach his players over spring, only got a month leading into the season. This team was projected to finish second to last in the Pac-12. Just think of that this team was 4-1, and with the loss being to a very, very talented Utah team, and they had the opportunity to go to a bowl game. It's unreal. And it like I said, it's just a testament to the way Carl Durrell has come in, really changed the culture away from what Mel Tucker was doing, because whatever Mel was doing wasn't working. Obviously, what Coach Durrell has come in and what Coach Chev has done in this offense really has the guys buying in, and they're winning football games, which people think they weren't going to do. And it's really amazing to see. We saw a guy who was a backup safety last year come in and truly perform at a high level for this offense. Neuer, we had very little expectations for Neuer coming in. At times he looked like a first year quarterback, but at times he looked like he'd been playing quarterback for 3 or 4 years. That touchdown pass to Maurice Bell in the Utah game, that's something you don't see out of a first year quarterback. The fact that Jarek Broussard off of two surgeries and potentially could have rushed for 1,000 yards this season. The fact that he had 733 rushing yards in 4 games, that he was ranked up there not only in the Pac-12 but nationally, is insane. In this underrated wide receiver core that has really come into light. The likes of Brennan Rice and Levante Chenault and Dimitri Stanley and Jalen Jackson and Maurice Bell. The fact that we had Brady Russell for only 2 games. Imagine if we had him for all 4 games. He would have been another monster in that offense. The fact that we're going to get Alex Fontenot back next year to add to that even deeper running back core is insane. The fact that this defense is going to stay basically intact, that, while we're going to lose Nate Landman, we're still going to have Carson Wells. We're still going to have Jalen Sami. This super young secondary who, looked like freshmen at times, also looked really good. The fact that they're only freshmen and that they're going to have years to get better and to improve on their talent and play at an even higher level next year and the year after that only shows that the promise this team showed. The fact that in this first year under Carl Durrell and with everything that happened over the course of this year with this Colorado team, the fact that they're 4-1 and have the potential to be in a bowl game, it is just such an achievement that it's like you don't even care that they lost to Utah, because they'd already exceeded expectations. They'd already exceeded what one thought they were going to do, and the fact that they can go out there and prove to them that, hey, this wasn't a fluke, that next year we're a team to be reckoned with, it is truly a crowning achievement that this team is able to do. And I'm really happy and really excited for this team. The fact that I got to watch this team go through all the hardships and everything they had to go to, it just makes me even more excited for what's to come next year. Finally, moving on to my third and last segment for today's show. The plan was for me and Kieran to, kind of look at our preseason predictions, but I guess we'll just run through some of mine. Obviously, the biggest prediction that was for me this season was our win total. I was pretty optimistic about this season. I thought they'd win two games, maybe 3 games, and finish 3-3, and then possibly going into this weekend, seeing who would play, possibly finishing 4-3. But even finishing 3-5, I still would have considered that a successful season. Vegas had us. I think the over/under on wins was, I think, like it might have been 2, and the fact that we have 4 wins is insane. That the fact that they blew out not only my expectations, Kieran had the same expectations, predictions as me, the Vegas predictions, the Pac-12 predictions, that the fact that this team blew them out of the water and were a ranked team at one point, like I said, it truly is a testament to the way this coaching staff has improved this team and has created a culture that players can really get behind. Second, I know Kieran thought the same thing, that this defense would be the best part of this team. It was. The first 2 games against UCLA and against Stanford, they didn't play a complete game of defense. The UCLA game and the Stanford game, both the scores were a lot closer than what they should have been, considering the offense looked unstoppable and the defense in the first halves of those games looked unstoppable as well. There's no doubt this defense was the best part of this team. Nate Landman, as we predicted, was an absolute stud. His ability to be the captain of the defense to somehow, some way, be at the end of every play, whether it be he was running them down or he needed a tackle. Um, it is insane. His ability to stop the run, which this defense did really well, except in that Utah game, um, really proves that he truly was the best player on this team. There's no doubt about it. The fact that was named he was named to the Pac-12 Player of the Week multiple times, was a Butkus semifinalist, and I still don't know how he wasn't named a finalist, even though he was injured. The guy's unreal. It's so unfortunate that he got injured on Saturday and that it was a season-ending injury. And I wish him all the best, and I really hope he can get better because he's going to be a sensational NFL talent. And any defense who's really struggling at the linebacker position and who's really struggling to stop the run, that's your guy right there. That's your guy to go out and really get the job done for you. And I'm so happy I got to watch him play football at Colorado for 2 years because he truly is a freak of nature and will go down as one of the best defensive players to play at this school. Third, the running back position would be the best position on offense. True. I would say that's true. While we didn't think it was going to be the person we thought it was, Jarek Broussard going into the season really was a no name to most Colorado fans and followers, just because he hadn't got the opportunity to play just because of those surgeries. But wow, did he impress? Like I said, the 733 rushing yards through 4 games. His season total is up to 813 yards. Is unreal. In five games, coming off of the injuries that he has and the surgeries that he has, if you would have told me that this guy would have 813 rushing yards in 5 games, like I said, I would have called you crazy. The fact that we saw some real promise from a guy like Ashad Clayton, who me and Kieran talked about in the beginning of the year, the really highly touted prospect, running back prospect coming in. This running back core is going to be dangerous next year, extremely dangerous. The fact that Broussard, who's proven he can be one of the best in the Pac-12, Fontenot, who's proven he can be the best in the Pac-12, Ashad Clayton, who, if he gets more touches next year, can prove that he belongs in that starting running back position, is unreal. The fact that going into next year we have possibly 4 running backs who could all start in another school is truly dangerous to this offense, and it really provides a backbone that if we don't have a quarterback who can pass the ball well, this rushing game can really support that offense and truly be the centerpiece of this offense. So that's going to be something really exciting to watch next year, to see how the coaches build this offense, especially this rushing offense up. So it's going to be interesting. Josh commented, surprised Broussard didn't build on his last couple of games against Utah, aka 150 yards. I think the weather had anything to do with it. I think it was a mixture of both. Coming off the 2 surgeries he had, the slippery surface definitely couldn't have helped him. One slip and he can easily re-injure whatever he had injured. But like I said in the beginning of the show, I got to give my hats off to that Utah run D. They truly were the driving force in stopping Broussard from getting any production. He rushed for 80 yards. It's okay, but from a guy who was averaging 183 rush yards a game, that truly is one of your key pieces of offense, just kind of disappearing for a game and really nesting the offense on Neuer's shoulders and on Neuer's arm is definitely something that Colorado didn't want to have to come to. But like I said, it truly is hats off to that Utah Rundy, who was ranked first in rushing yards allowed. So like I said, it was going to be a tough game going in. But I really wish they had gotten Broussard going the second that offense stepped on the field. They were ready. That was obviously Colorado's strengths. Yeah. It seemed like they were never surprised by a team. They never played down to an opponent. They were always just going in there expecting a hard fought battle, and that's truly how they won games like the UCLA game, like the Stanford game, like the SDSU game, like the Arizona game. All those games were hard fought victories. And it's really a testament to what this coaching staff, what these players did with this team. Any updates on your injured middle linebacker? Yeah, Landman, unfortunately, it's a lower leg injury, but he is out for the season. So if we do potentially go bowling, he won't be playing in that game. And like I said, I really hope he gets better, and I really hope that he's the opportunity to show out at the combine and show teams what he can do, because he truly is not only the best defensive player on the Colorado team, potentially the best defensive player in the Pac-12, and definitely a top 10 defensive player in the whole entire nation. And when he goes onto an NFL team and shows what he truly can do and his ability, he's going to prove why what he did in college was no fluke, and why he's going to be an absolute monster in a linebacking core in the NFL, and be an absolute monster in the run D. I really hope my team takes him, but we're gonna have to see. Yeah, one of the best tacklers in open space, without a doubt. He's truly a freak of nature. And like I said, I had the absolute pleasure of watching him play defense for Colorado the past 2 seasons. It was absolutely gut wrenching watching him go down and wincing in pain. And that's the type of guy who you just hate to see get injured and see a season end like that. With that, I want to thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming to another episode. Thanks for obviously interacting in the chat. I didn't have Kieran here to bounce some ideas off of him, but nonetheless, it's important to speak my mind, get you guys involved. Like always, if you want to find more of me and Kieran or more of Dash Sports, follow us on our socials at Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. If you want to check out our YouTube channel where we also stream our shows, check us out at Dashsports TV. Check out our website, dashsports.tv, and check out Sportsback 12. Super cool little partnership we got going. They're a Pac-12 only media site. Super awesome. Some of our Dashboards hosts are writing columns for them. We'll be doing some videos for them, so look out for those. But as always, thank you guys so much for coming. I wish you all the best. As always, go Buffs, and I'll see you next week.